We need to be able to hear you.
Kansas-Nebraska Act 1854 by me and Justin. And what I want to start with is this picture of the actual bill that was sent to Congress, and this I got from the text of that bill, and I was trying to convey what's the purpose of that bill. And the purpose is that every territory or any portion of the same shall be received into the Union with or without slavery, as their constitution may prescribe at the time of admission. So that means that people in the territories can decide whether or not they want to be a free state or slave state, and this document is based on popular sovereignty that Qatar presented us 5 months ago. Actually, this guy called Stephen Douglas, Mr. Douglas, and he was a congressman in the north, and all he wanted is the transcontinental railroad. It's kind of ironic because it's just transcontinental railroad, and the Kansas-Nebraska Act is like the most significant event that leading the Union to the Civil War. So he wanted that railroad, and what he did is he sent a bill to the Congress to get a state grant to build that road. But it passed the House, but it didn't pass the Senate. So what he did, he went to a group of Senate called Fifth Street Senates, or Fifth Street Mass. They called it Fifth Street Mass, and he asked for support in the Senate. And Fifth Street Mass Senates, they were Southern Senates, and because they were from the South, they wanted slavery to go above 36 and to do that, they wanted to put slavery owners and non-slavery owners on the equal foot, so that they will get opportunity to move slavery above 36. Okay, and so they make clear to this guy. So this guy invented the act, and basically it says what I just said before. So that it's based on popular sovereignty, and every state can decide whether or not they want to be a free state or slave state. I kind of want to talk about that guy and all the parties that were in Senate. Basically, there were two parties, Democratic Party and Whigs Party, that they broke their party into three different parties. And we need this Republican Party, and the Republican Party's leader was Mr. Abraham Lincoln, and he made a position because he didn't like this idea of popular sovereignty, and it was very famous debate between Lincoln and Mr. Douglas about his act. But Mr. Douglas was a leader of Democratic Party, and with support of Southern Senates, the bill had eventually passed House of Representatives and Senate on May 13th, 1854, and the president, Mr. Pierce, eventually signed it. And this text I got from journal of um, from a journal of Wilkes-Barre that was broken. Okay, and basically what it said that the crime is committed, and no one actually liked this act and what it caused. It's a bleeding war, bleeding fights in Kansas, because Southern wanted Kansas to be a slave state, and Northerners wanted Kansas to be a free state. Actually, I got a video, but we are not gonna watch it now. And Justin is gonna present what happened after this act.
Okay. So obviously, this act is actually created a lot of consequences, not only limited in Kansas and Nebraska, but it also spread to the whole country. So May 1st is the Nebraska and Kansas the act passed, but after a month, the bloody Kansas could start. The bloody Kansas started. So there are two commanders from each side. One is John Brown. He's the anti-slavery, and during this bloody Kansas, he killed the military was killed from approximately from 30 to 100, but the exact number is unknown. And the pro-slavery is William Quantrill, which is 20 to 30. So the exact number is unknown as well. So the bloody Kansas, it means there are a lot of guerrilla happened in this time period, which is between 1856 to 1861, all the way before the American Civil War. So this is the sake of Lawrence is one of the most famous guerrilla in the bloody Kansas. So Lawrence, Kansas, described or performed as an anti-slavery town. So on May 21st night, the pro-slavery attacked the Lawrence, Kansas, by the commander Samuel Jones, who is the pro-slavery, the commander that day. However, the anti-slavery part, which is the citizen live in Lawrence, Kansas, didn't know what is exactly happened that day, so they don't have any commander. So all the citizens are fight for this. So think about it, if there's no commander of the anti-slavery part, the people or the citizen is gonna be pretty disorganized. So but this is an ironic thing. Only one people wounded. However, the pro-slavery part, one people died from this. And also, the bloody Kansas the whole Kansas and Nebraska has triggered the American Civil War. So this is another thing happened on the American Civil War, the Lawrence Massacre. This is a really like the same thing happened before. The pro-slavery they are the professional armies, and they do have a commander. However, the anti-slavery, the citizen in the Lawrence, Kansas, fight for the professional soldiers as well. So this act is not only triggered the American Civil War, but it actually influenced the Native American in Nebraska and Kansas. Remember the 1830 Trail of Tears. They move all the way from South Carolina or Georgia, move to northern Oklahoma and southern Kansas. This influence. So right now, after 30 years, they suffering from the white settlers seize their land again. So in that times, a lot of people trying to move all the way from the eastern part of the country, move to Kansas and Nebraska, because they really want to influence that two states. Whether depends they are free states or slave states. So if a white settler moved to Kansas and Nebraska, obviously the native Indians, their land is gonna be settled full of white settlers. So their land is actually shrink. And also this is their consequences. So after that, it has a lot of war. They suffer a lot of casualty as well, not only the white side. So they create a lot of casualty. So this is a big consequences for the party. And this is our quotation. It's like a lot.
All right, thank you very much.